Hold on, just trying to check something here, folks. But yeah, welcome. This is live, of course. And as you can tell by the title below, I will admit I have yet to see the movie because, of course, the movie just came out this past weekend. And I have yet to see it, just like a lot of people have. Of course, those that were fortunate got to see it during the red carpet premiere. Those that of course, like I said, they saw it during the red carpet premiere and stuff. So I do apologize in advance. I do apologize. I'm turning on the TV for a second. Hold on for a moment. But I do apologize in advance for doing this video with spoilers. But these are. But I'm doing basically. I'm basically doing this based off what people have said in their videos on Frozen 2. I mean, you had rotoscopers talking about it. You had another video talking about it. So you have spoilers out there. In fact, even Wikipedia, as I say in the description, it along with places like YouTube, pretty much has spoiled the movie a little bit, or at least spoiled certain moments. But you know what's funny is, I think Disney themselves, doing the synopsis and the trailers and all that for the movie, pretty much spoiled it a little bit as well. Like, there was this thing about Elsa's powers and, you know, whether or not Elsa's powers were going to grow. You know, they were going to get, you know, more powerful. You know, basically of Elsa herself evolving and growing along with her powers. Well, like I said, it isn't just YouTube and Wikipedia, as I say in the description box, that spoiled it as well. You got places like Twitter and even Facebook at times, I think, have even spoiled it. And the way they spoiled it is there's this image jumping around of Elsa in a white dress. Her hair's let down. She let her hair... Excuse me, I got a bit of a cough trying to get over it. But she lets her hair down a little bit. You know how she kind of let it down like a ponytail, kind of curled ponytail, as we all know? Well, in this one, she lets it down completely, confirming her full transformation. Now, here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about Elsa's full transformation. A lot of people are wondering whether or not did she become a goddess? Did she become godlike? Did she evolve into godlike, into a god level? You know, did she become more god-like than human? Well, apparently, according to what people have said, and from what you could read that's out there, because even USA Today, believe it or not, spoils the film. Pretty much, Elsa changes into basically a spirit. Hear me out. So, the plot of the film is Elsa's hearing this voice calling to her. It's calling to her to come and embrace her destiny, to learn more about who she really is. And she's trying to ignore it, but finally gives in. And Anna, she learns about this, along with Christopherson and Olaf and Seven, Swave, I think that's the ranger's name. He learns about this, and he's like, you know what, no. And you know, I mean, like I said, they all hear about this, and Anna's like, no, you're not going to do this alone, Elsa. We're going to go with you, and they do. So the reason they go with her is because this voice is calling to her, she wants to learn why. And she ends up unleashing I guess, not the full front of her powers at the time, but just enough to where it awakens four spirits of element of the earth, the four elements of the earth, basically. You know, you got the element of water, you got the element of the wind, you got the element of fire, and you got the element of earth. And they're all represented in different kind of ways. The most popular way, as I've shown before in a video, is the Noke. I think that's what it's called, the Noke. This is this is the spirit of water, the element spirit of water. This is the Noke. Okay? And as you can tell, it looks like her dress here, I didn't even notice that. It looks like it's white, a little bit white, kind of giving you an idea maybe. Didn't even realize that. Like I said, it kind of gives you an idea. I didn't even notice that her outfit's not totally blue. It's kind of like got that whitish feel to it. So, giving you an idea of maybe what she was going to happen, spoiling it already. But anyway, like I was saying, you got the spirit of water, the element spirit, represented by the horse, the Nuke. You have the wind, represented by wind. You have this little chameleon that becomes like a pet sidekick, I guess, to Elsa for a bit in the movie, as the spirit of fire. And you have these rock giants representing Earth as the spirit of the Earth, or the ground, or whatever. And Elsa basically discovers that her destiny is not to be the ruler of Ellendale. No. Her destiny, as we find out in the film, because her mother has a connection to all of this, believe it or not. Because apparently, I don't know if anybody noticed it in the first film. I didn't notice it. But it's talked about in the second. And again, you could thank Wikipedia. You could thank YouTube and places like Rotoscopers and all of them, and Twitch and all that. Not Twitch, but Twitter and all that, for coming out and saying this stuff. But the mother has these symbols that connect the spirits, that are like symbols of connecting the spirits. These element spirits, if you will. Check out Rotoscoper's explanation on it a little bit more, as well as another video. I think it's, let me see if I can find the name of that video. Hold on. Hey, did I do something wrong here? Hold on. Oh, shoot. Sounds like they changed things up a little bit. Okay, Flicks in the City. Flicks in the City and Rotoscopers. Flicks in the City talks about it. Rotoscopers, I think, touches upon it. But the mother has these symbols on one of her outfits that connects basically the spirits. It basically is a symbol of the spirits. And we find out that her mother, on top of that, is from this tribe. From this tribe that her father encountered when they were kids. So the mother and the father met when they were kids. The father, of course, going with his dad, Elsa and Anna's grandfather, to this tribe to obviously make peace. But then it's revealed that that was far from the truth, because the grandfather had other things in mind, that's making him the de facto villain, even in flashback. And the mother, basically it's revealed during this, is, like I said, from this tribe. So her and the father make a connection with each other. So her and the father, like I say, make a connection with each other through this. And for some odd reason, it's indicated, or basically visually shown, that the mother, because of the symbols she has and everything, also has a connection to the elements and the spirits. Like she Like she, like Elsa will become, and along with Anna, in a sense, is the bridge between the human world and the spiritual world. So yeah, that's basically what this whole thing for Elsa, because everybody has said Frozen 2 is Elsa's story, and there's no doubt it is. There's no doubt it is. Hold on for a sec. Hello? No, it's still there. Nothing. I didn't notice. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. Even my mom just called to check up on things and tell me stuff that she saw. But anyway, she's fine and everything. She just has to vent sometimes about things she sees and she doesn't like. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying. Uh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, about the whole Elsa deal. So what was I at? Oh yeah. Um, so basically, Elsa. So basically, like I was saying, the mom. We find out that the mom has a connection. So basically, the mom is like, kind of like what Elsa and Anna are going to be, or will become, and that is the bridging gap. Mostly Elsa, more so Elsa than Anna, but basically the mom was kind of like the hybrid. Like she could remain in Arendelle, like she was able to remain in Arendelle as the queen, but she was kind of like that bridging gap. And we find out that because she had that connection, between the world, both worlds, the tribes in both worlds, in a sense, from what I can understand, maybe I'm wrong, she was a spirit herself. Well, she had that power of spirit herself. Let's see, someone's mentioning. Well, there is a Frozen 3. From what I understand, CCYT, I'm just going to call you CCYT. From what I understand, it's going to be a Disney series on Disney Plus on Frozen. I'll get into that in a moment. But the point is that again, check out Rotoscopers and Flick in the City to check out more about what they have to say. But basically, the long story of it is Elsa is that the mom was kind of like that hybrid. So where Elsa is taking more on that role of being the fifth spirit, encompassing that fifth spirit. Now, in case you guys don't know, well, I'm probably pretty sure you do know. At the end of the first film, or towards the end of the first film, throughout that movie, they were looking for a cure to help Elsa. Well, Anna went on a journey to find Elsa, and also the fact that, as we find out later on, um, Elsa accidentally hits her sister in the chest. So it becomes more about not just finding Elsa, trying to bring her back. Now it's about saving Anna's life, and that's the first film. And basically, what happens at the end is Anna sacrifices herself, allows herself to become frozen solid to save her sister. Now she's thawed out by her sister's love, and because the sacrifice that she made. Well, Elsa goes through a similar situation, but it's because the further she goes into Atherhall or Anthahall, I can't think of the name right. I can't say the name properly, so I do apologize. But the further she goes into this place, is after she kind of accepts this new role she's going to be in. Like she now understands. She has a good understanding of what her true destiny is. Because, like I said, at first she tries to blow it off, like she wants nothing to do with it. But the more they journey and the more they learn about the history. I mean, here's the thing: they find out the wreckage. They find the wreckage of the parent ship, and I guess throughout the 3 years, Elsa has been able to learn some new abilities, and those abilities expand, I guess, further they go in, or the further they go into this journey. And what happens is she touches the baseboards, like she touches the baseboards of the ship to get the memories, to retain or gather up the memories of what happened that fateful night the parents died on the ship, or the ship sunk. And she finds out that they were going back to this tribe where the mother is from to try to get answers about Elsa's powers and maybe find a way to sustain them so they didn't have to keep her isolated or hidden. They didn't have to keep her powers hidden away from the public, from the world. Like she could finally come out, and that's why they went on this journey. But what's funny is what's funny is, kind of funny, kind of ironic, is Elsa, when she's going on this journey along with her sister and all that, and she decides, look, I've got to be the one that, and she finally comes to that moment in the film, which I think a lot of people predicted would happen, and that is she's got to be the one that does this. She's got to be the one that does this. She basically goes off on her own, goes into this area, into that part where she learns everything she needs to learn, and she sees her mom's face. It's kind of like when I saw the image that Flicks and the City brought up. I think even Rotoscopers brought this up too. It's an image of her mom's face looking at her. And it reminded me a lot of Joel, in the Fortress of Solitude, when he would connect with Superman. And it kind of reminded me of that. And that brought up a lot of questions. And that brought up the question that Rotoscopers and Flick in the City, and I'm sure anybody else has had, did the mom become a spirit herself? When she passed, did she pass on to a higher plane and become a spirit herself along with the other spirits? Because why is she able to communicate with her daughter on this level? And it all comes back to a song that she sang to both the daughters when they were kids, which is All Is Found. Basically, the song was a message for Elsa and Anna that the answers you seek will soon be revealed. Or that when the time is right, they'll be able to find the answers they seek. At least Elsa will. And it's almost like, and again, this is coming from someone that didn't see the film. This is coming from someone that has yet to see the film, but eventually I will, because the one thing I've done in the past, and the one thing I do kind of appreciate, is when people do spoil it, and then I eventually see it myself. Yeah, I have an idea already. I already know in my mind, I have an idea already from what I was seeing and told of what's going to happen. But when I see it visually happen on screen, I have a better understanding as to why it's happening, and a better appreciation as to why they went there, instead of just hearing it, from people's mouth or reading about it. So not only do I see it coming when it does, but I have a better understanding, and it allows me, when I do a full review, to kind of explain why it happened. But I'm going off of what people have said. And basically the question is, did Elsa and Anna's mom, go to that higher plane? Did she become like a godlike entity when she passed? We're not really sure. Was she in the same situation when she was part of that tribe that Elsa's in? Did she become, like one with the spirits? Did she become a chosen one? And does she pass that on to her daughter? Yeah, well, that obviously with that movie, CCYT, they took that analogy and said, no, that's not what happened. But anyway, long story short, I know I say that a lot. Basically, it's kind of left up in the air, but I think it's pretty much confirmed from what I've been able to decipher and understand from these other reviewers and analysis. that it might that the mother, and I'm sure Isaac of Watso videos is going to talk about this, but it's almost like the mother had a connection too, and when she married the father and moved to Ellendale, she was still able to be that bridge between both sides. Now, what's funny is, what's funny about this is when Elsa discovers the truth, because it's discovered later on as she's learning more about her powers, accepting what her new role is going to be, apparently. Like I said earlier, she journeys further in to learn more about what's happened, about the past, and the more she learns about the betrayal that her grandfather did, the more colder she becomes, to the point that, like I said, she goes through something similar like Anna did towards the end of the original Frozen. She becomes frozen herself, and thus by doing so, Olaf fades away because he's connected with Elsa. He has a connection with Elsa, which I guess is why some people might even ship the two together in some capacity, because they're connected. Anyway, moving forward, basically, long story short, not only does Anna, before Elsa becomes frozen, because Elsa's powers have evolved to this point that now she understands, she's able to communicate the same message to her sister right before she gets completely frozen and temporarily dies, passes away. Which I think, my theory on that is she doesn't die. She doesn't pass away, that being Elsa. She evolves. She gets cocooned. Her going into that frozen state, that's like the closing the chapter on one part of her life and opening the chapter to the next. Because the moment Anna gets the idea or learns of what's happened and decides, you know what, I have to move forward because that's what my sister would want me to do. And she makes the decision as the leader she shows herself to be by saying, that dam that my grandfather put up to trap these people, that needs to go down. Because that's what's blocking the peace. That's what's hurting things right now. When she makes that decision, ironically, after that decision is made and the dam is broken, about that time her sister thaws out because obviously the sisters, or mostly Anna, is making up for what her grandfather did, and thus by being thawed out, not only does Elsa get a better understanding of what happened, or not only does she have that better understanding, but it's revealed that the spirits have forgiven the family. They've forgiven Elsa and Anna's family for the betrayal. But also, I think at the same time, her going into that frozen state, that allowed her to have that better understanding of, this is what you're meant to be. You're meant to be a guardian spirit. You're not meant to be a queen. You're not meant to be a princess. Your destiny, since you were a child, was to be a guardian spirit. And that's what we get. Because the moment she thaws out, ironically at the same time the dam is broken, she's able to summon the water nuke, the water spirit in the form of the horse, to come with her to help her stop the dam from flooding Ellendale, and basically reveal, the evolution she's gone through. And by doing so, not only does she reveal what she's gone through and what her destiny is meant to be, her true destiny, and that is she has become more than human, because obviously that's what people perceive her to be, because she becomes this bridge. She becomes this bridging gap between the spiritual world and the human world, but more so than her mom, in my opinion. She's become more of a spirit than her mom. Because instead of going back to Arendelle, she decides to live in the forest and live in the enchanted forest as a spirit. So she basically becomes what's known as the fifth spirit, the fifth guardian, along with the spirit of water, the horse, the wind, which was the spirit of wind, the chameleon, which was the spirit of fire, and these giants that were the spirit of like I said, these giants, which were the spirit of the earth, spirit of rock or whatever, spirit of the earth. That's what she became. She became that fifth spirit. She became the spirit of ice or whatever. She became that fifth guardian spirit. The one that has these elemental powers of ice and water, but was the guardian spirit that was the bridge between both worlds. And I know a lot of people look at that and they're thinking, so you built up, and here's the thing I can already see people saying, even if they enjoyed the movie. And that is, you built Elsa up in the first movie to be this new leader, to accept her role, and yet you take the second movie and you say, oh, by the way, she was destined to be something more than a queen. And you do it 3 years after the other one. Or 3 years timeline-wise after the first one. And, one could probably understand that, okay, 3 years have passed. She's had 3 years as she's reigned 3 years as queen. The spirits are saying, you know what, it's time. It's time for you to achieve your destiny. It's time for you to fulfill and accept your new role in life. Or something, and become something more. And that's obviously what happens. And again, a lot of people wonder and they question this. And hold on for a second. Like I said, there's a lot of people, they wonder and they question that. They wonder why. Why make her into something more? Because basically, in the eyes of a lot of folks, you took Elsa and you turned her into a goddess. That's pretty much what they look at. Excuse me there. But you turned her into and there's not a lot of people that sit well with that. Like I said, there's not a lot of people that sit well with that because they're like, because like I said earlier, or I said moments ago, people are like, well, wait a minute. So you build her up in the first film to accept her powers, accept her role, but you're saying that wasn't enough. That was just the beginning, and that this here, the second movie, is her basically accepting the fact that her real destiny was to be beyond human, to be more than what she was meant to be. To become one with nature, in a sense. Now, they did open it up a little bit by saying that because Elsa does say in the movie, according to Wikipedia, that her and her sister are now that bridging gap between both worlds. It's not just her, it's also her sister. And it seems it's hinted at in the film, according to rotoscopes and Flicks in the City and many others, that Anna may be a spirit as well. That she also has the spirit of Earth entirely. Like she can command the giant troll-like creatures, rock-like creatures, to do what they did in destroying the dam. So she obviously has maybe the spirit of Earth overall. Well, these rock giants represent it. She's kind of like, not like at the levels of her sister, but she kind of has a little bit of that inside of her. Like over time, it may grow even more so. Now, the question is, where do you go from here? because Elsa is now basically the fifth elemental spirit. She's embraced it. Her body has become basically, as some people might say, the host of, of this new, of this. It's basically become the host body of the spirit of this new fifth spirit, elemental spirit of ice and snow and all that. Because, like I said, you have the water, you have the horse that represents the elemental spirit of water. You have the chameleon of the spirit of fire. You have the giants representing the spirit of earth. You have, the wind, of course, representing the spirit of wind. And now you have Elsa representing the spirit, the elemental spirit of ice and snow. And it's that bridging spirit. It's like that, she's like that centerpiece that keeps it all together. So you have to wonder, will this be explored even more? Well, if the movie is going to be the box office success that it looks like it's going to be, just like the first one, I would say, then there's no doubt that Disney is going to say, you know what, let's try to explore the lore and such even more so. Let's go with a third film. And if a third film occurs, then you got to ask yourself, where do they go from here? Where do they go from here with a third film? Now, here's the thing. If a third film doesn't occur, which is not out of the question, how does the proposed Disney Plus series for Frozen, which ironically I think is also going to be on Disney Channel and Disney XD, let's not deny that. The question is, where would that fit in the whole scenario? Hold on for a sec. Well, I wouldn't say it's confusing, but like I said, I wouldn't say it's confusing or anything. I wouldn't say it's confusing. I would say it's more along the lines of I think what they're trying to do is settle on exactly what her role is going to be, because a lot of people like I said, they look at her being in this goddess-like role. Like, she's the centerpiece. Like, her main representation when it comes to being a spirit is that of ice and water, but she's also that bridging gap between the spirit world and the human world. Because if you watch the movie, if you have seen the movie, sorry about that. I had to feed my dog, though. She was, I think, looking for a snack or something. But anyway, like I said, I don't think they're making her story confusing, CCYT. I think what they're doing is they're trying to figure out, what's the next step. And to me, if there is a third movie, that's where the answer will come from. But if the Frozen series that's proposed to be on Disney Plus as well as Disney Channel and Disney XD, let's not think they won't get in. They won't have it either, because they will. To me, I think the Frozen series is going to explore things even more so. Hear me out. You see, the one thing about Tangled is that series is supposed to take place between after the Tangled movie and the short Tangled Ever After. Well, Finn and Rapunzel get married. So it takes place in between there. Now, one could say that the Frozen series is going to do the same thing. Like, it's going to be a bridging gap between the first movie and the second movie. Like, it'll encompass the shorts and Olaf's Christmas special, Olaf's Frozen Adventure, as part of the continuity, maybe. But it's going to serve as a bridging gap and tell stories and adventures, or tell the stories and adventures of Elsa, Anna, and Kristofferson and Olaf in between both films. I could see the Frozen series doing that. However, I also see the Frozen series maybe being an extension of this. Hear me out. Now, Anna was apparently, from what people have said, was positioned as a leader in this film. Basically hinting at the fact that now that Elsa's taken on this new role as being this fifth elemental spirit, this goddess-like being, or whatever you want to call it, who regularly visits Ellendale once a week, to catch up on things, keep the peace between both sides, and also, see her, check up on her sister and all that. You can't tell me that won't open the door for possible, stories and adventures to take place in the series, because it could. Because I think one of the story elements they could go with is Anna dealing with the fact that now her sister is out in this forest being this guardian, but is that what her sister really, really wants? And they could also explore the fact that, as talked about by rotoscopes and all them, that is, as they put it, because it was even hinted at, they could probably even explore the idea of maybe there's something more with Anna. Like, Anna could question herself on how she was able to get the spirit of these rock creatures that are the spirit of the earth to follow her command or to do what she wanted them to do. And she doesn't have any powers at all, or does she? That could be an option they explore. You see, there's a lot of ideas that come out at the end of this movie that I think with a Frozen television series could be explored, could be answered. Because there are some people that, even though they love the movie, still feel that it's a movie that, as good as it was, the songs are good, the animation's good, it's a step up, as much as I hate to say this, it's a step up from the first film. There's all that as a good plus, that even though the story's good, it still felt like it left a few things unanswered. It's like, Elsa's happy right now in the position of being this bridging, being part of this bridging gap, or filling up this gap between both sides, along with Anna. She, it's like she's at peace now, right? And again, her becoming like this spirit goddess-like being, I think honestly has to deal with the fact that here's something. Here's something that people may have not thought of, and I just thought about this. Like I mentioned earlier, when she got frozen and essentially temporarily passed away, died, I think, again, like I mentioned earlier, I think that wasn't her dying or passing away. I think that was her becoming frozen, because she was seeing the truth about what happened. It was her basically taking on the punishment of what happened, taking on the punishment of what her grandfather did, paying the price, but by doing so, she allowed herself to become frozen before as she was sending that message out, she allowed herself to become frozen because she knew that was part of the destiny. That was part of her destiny for both her and her sister to accept the roles they're going to be, going into in the future, or being part of in the future. And I think, honestly, that the whole turning into Ice Steel for Anna, that was the last step. That was the last phase in her transformation. Because by going through that, she was like a caterpillar going into a cocoon. It's like she had everything was pretty much all set, except she still had to go to that one final stage, and that one final stage was being encompassed in ice, cocooned, if you will, into an ice statue or whatever, and basically allowing herself to go through that, and by being enveloped into this ice statue, if you will, being frozen herself, cocooned, she was going through the final stages, the final growth. Because, like I said earlier, ironically, when her sister was able to build up the courage and the leadership she had to make those rock creatures, the spirit of the earth, destroy the dam, that's when her sister started to thaw out, because it was like it's like Anna had finally achieved her destiny. Like, now she knows what her role is, and by doing so, Elsa was able to thaw out, basically break free of the cocoon, and now accept her destiny and realize that her transformation into what she is meant to be, this new fifth element, this goddess-like being, as people put it. Because you will notice in the images that float about, she has like an aura around her that that basically now the transformation is complete, and now she knows what her role in life is overall. But again, a lot of people wonder if this was the best idea, and if a series or even a third movie is made, a series more likely, and the series takes place after the second film, you have to think, is it going to explore that? Is it going to explore Anna probably realizing, wait a minute, how was I able to command those creatures that are spirits of the earth so easily? How was I able to get them to do what I wanted, so easily? And, they could go down that route. And then as well, you could also do a story to where maybe it's not just that, but maybe Anna's thinking to herself, well, is my sister truly happy? Because maybe doing one of the visits that lead to an adventure that's basically an episode, if you will, maybe they could start building on the idea that maybe there's something there about Elsa, like, she's at peace, but there is a part of her that misses being with her family, misses being with her sister, misses being with her friends. Is this what she truly wants? Because when you look at the Tangled series / Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, they didn't have to go through all that to explore the origins of Rapunzel's hair and all that, and then have the Cassandra betrayal, which is obviously Cassandra being manipulated by whatever this little spirit is. They didn't have to do that, but they did because they wanted to expand more on the story and basically fill in the gaps that probably a lot of fans were asking about, fill in those answers. And I think, honestly, that's what we could get with the Frozen series on Disney Plus, Disney Channel, and Disney XD. That maybe it'll be that series that answers the questions of, is this new life, that this new spiritual goddess-like life that Elsa has, is it what she truly wants, or does she want to go back? Does she want to go home? And along with that, you could probably also explore the fact of whether or not Anna might have some powers hidden within inside of her. Because again, she'll probably, because as some people point out, she'll have to ask the question, how did I do this? How did I do this to get these creatures to destroy the dam? You see, it is one of those movies that, as enjoyable as it is, as good as it is, as much as the fact that I'm going to call it right now and say it's going to win Best Animated Picture next year, and Into the Unknown is probably going to win Best Original Song. As good as it is, it's one of those movies that still leaves a few questions that, even though it answers some questions, by answering those questions, it also creates new ones. And hopefully, in the future, whether it's a Frozen television series on Disney Plus, Disney Channel, and Disney XD, or it's a third Frozen movie, we'll get those answers. Because, again, Basically, because again, there are people, there's no doubt in my mind, that are thinking, so Elsa's destiny since the first movie was to be this new guardian spirit of the forest, bring balance and all that, be this fifth elemental spirit of ice and snow. That was her destiny, to go beyond being human. Because again, remember, the images that are floating around show her with an aura around her in this new white dress and all that. So one has to wonder that. One has to ask that. So one has to wonder that and ask that of whether or not, you know, well, what I'm trying to say, I was just checking my live chat there, and thank you guys for tuning in. But it's more along the lines that when you look at, people, because people are going to want to know. It's like, so she was meant to do this the whole time, and maybe we got clues in the first film, but we didn't think they would capitalize on it, and yet here we are. Because, but the thing is, that's what a lot. But what I'm trying to say, and I'm sorry for the distraction, I'm just checking stuff here. But the thing is, you know, like I said earlier, like I said moments ago, it's the movie that, even though it answers questions, it also answers those questions by giving you more questions, and one has to wonder whether or not those questions would be answered in the Frozen series on Disney Plus, Disney Channel, and Disney XD, as well as a possible third movie if they do it. One has to wonder that because, the thing is, you can't, because here's the one thing. People are going to point out that you can't just do a movie like this. Hold on for a sec. Like I said, people are going to point out that you can't just, do a movie like this, go through and basically put these characters through these different transformations in life without giving a definitive answer as to why they went through it and what's next for them. How are they going to accept and cope with this? And I believe a third movie or the series that is being proposed to go onto Disney Plus, Disney Channel, and Disney XD, hopefully that series will answer those questions. Hopefully it'll answer the question of whether or not Elsa and Anna are willing to accept these new roles that they've been giving. And who knows? Maybe we'll learn more about Anna. Maybe we'll learn that she has powers. Maybe we'll learn more about Elsa. Maybe she'll realize that maybe she, even though as much as she likes it, she still misses being with her sister and her family. Who knows? So we'll have to wait and see. What answers are given. Because again, even though this probably answered some questions, it answered those questions, but it also gave us more questions along with those answers. So anyway, though, guys, that's all I'm going to say on it. Again, I haven't seen the movie. I'm just going by what people like Wikipedia, people in sites like Rotoscopes, Flicks and the City, Wikipedia, Twitter, and all of them are saying about the film. So let me know what you all think, though, down below. Comment if you like. Thank you all for tuning in live. Truly appreciate the comments in the live chat. Really appreciate it, guys. But let me know what your thoughts are on what was revealed in the movie, thanks to some of the spoilers through Wikipedia and YouTube and Twitter and all them. Let me know what your thoughts are. How do you see things going from here in the future? Whether we get an extension of the whether we get an extension in the Frozen television series or maybe a third movie. What are your thoughts on what could happen potentially next? Let me know down below. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a good day. God bless. Take care. I am out.